Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a really foundational story, looking at that moment Abram becomes Abraham and enters into this hugely significant covenant.
We've got the source text here covering the event itself and, what happens immediately after.
And if you've ever been curious about where certain traditions come from, or maybe just what these covenants are fundamentally about, this should give you some key insights.
Right. Without getting bogged down in really dense theology, we're aiming to unpack the main points and maybe some surprising details along the way.
Exactly. So let's set the scene. Abram is 99 years old, an incredible age already, and then this profound encounter happens.
Yeah, it's a moment that leads to the new name, obviously, but also this binding agreement. It's got long-lasting implications.
Okay, so how does it start? God appears to Abram.
Yes, and identifies straight away as El Shaddai, God Almighty. It's a statement of immense power right from the outset.
El Shaddai. That's a powerful name. And what's the first thing God asks?
The initial command is to serve faithfully and live blamelessly. Sort of sets the standard for the relationship.
Faithfully and blamelessly. Okay. And that leads into the core of the covenant.
It does, the promise.
Yeah.
I will guarantee to give you countless descendants.
Yeah.
It's a huge, emphatic promise.
Countless descendants. And Abram's reaction.
He falls face down just immediately. It's this gesture of profound respect, maybe awe, submission.
Wow. Okay. And then comes the name change, which you mentioned.
Yes, Abram becomes Abraham. And the text is really explicit about why. For you will be the father of a multitude of nations.
Right. And names back then weren't just labels, were they? They carried weight.
Oh, absolutely. A name change often signified a change in destiny, a new purpose. It's fundamental to his identity shifting.
So it's not just a new name, it's tied to further promises.
Exactly. Extreme fruitfulness, nations coming from him, even kings among his descendants. It's like a blueprint for the future packed into that name change.
Okay, so descendants and nations. What else is part of this covenant? It's described as everlasting, right?
Yes, that's a crucial term, everlasting covenant. It's not temporary. It extends beyond Abraham to all his descendants through all generations.
It establishes this ongoing relationship.
Precisely. And God says, I will always be your God and the God of your descendants after you. It's about continuity, this enduring divine connection.
And there's also the land promise, isn't there?
There is the promise of the land of Canaan. What's striking is that he's living there as a foreigner, a sojourner at this point.
Right. So he's basically an outsider being promised this very land as a permanent possession for his descendants.
It really underscores the scale of the promise, doesn't it? Not just people, but a place for them forever. It highlights how extraordinary this whole agreement is.
So you have this incredible promised descendants, land, and everlasting relationship. How is it marked? How is it, sealed?
With a physical sign, circumcision. God lays out Abraham's responsibility he has to obey the terms, and this is the specific sign of the covenant.
Circumcision. The text is quite specific about the act itself.
Very specific. Cutting off the flesh of the foreskin. It's a permanent physical mark, a constant reminder etched onto the body.
And the timing is specific too.
Yes, on the 8th day after birth, generation after generation. It sets up this enduring ritual right from the start.
And who does it apply to? Just his direct line?
No, it's broader than that. The text says every male in his household. So family members, yes, but also servants born in the household, even servants purchased from foreigners, all males.
So it really defines the whole community associated with Abraham under this covenant.
It does. It's quite inclusive in that sense within the household structure. And there's a serious consequence for not doing it.
What's that?
Being cut off from the covenant family for breaking the covenant. It shows how non-negotiable this sign was. It defined belonging.
Okay, so that covers Abraham's side and the sign. Then the focus shifts a bit, doesn't it, to Sarai?
It does. God addresses her role directly. Her name is changed too, from Sarai to Sarah.
And does that name change carry a similar weight?
Very much so.
Yeah.
It implies she'll be a mother of nations, that kings will come from her line. It parallels Abraham's renaming and highlights her absolutely crucial role.
She's not just passive in this.
Not at all.
Yeah.
And then comes the really specific promise concerning her. Sarah herself will bear Abraham a son.
Right. And this is where Abraham has that very human reaction.
Yes. He bows down again, showing respect, but the text says he laughs to himself.
Laughs, like in disbelief.
It seems so. He's thinking, can a man have a child at 100? Can Sarah bear a child at 90? You can almost hear the incredulity.
It makes him relatable, doesn't it? Faced with something so impossible sounding.
Absolutely. It's that mix of awe and, well, doubt.
Yeah.
And it leads him to ask about Ishmael, his existing son.
Ah, yes, his son with Hagar. What does he ask?
He says, "May Ishmael live under your special blessing." It shows his love for Ishmael, maybe his attempt to reconcile this new promise with his current reality.
How does God respond to that?
God's response is very clear, firm even. He basically says, no, your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will name him Isaac.
Isaac.
Uh,
And the covenant passes through him?
Yes, God states the everlasting covenant will be established specifically with Isaac and his descendants. It clarifies the primary line.
But what about Ishmael? Is he just dismissed?
No, not at all. And this is important. God explicitly says he has heard Abraham regarding Ishmael. He promises to bless Ishmael, make him fruitful, multiply him greatly.
So Ishmael gets his own blessing.
A significant one. 12 princes will come from him. He'll become a great nation. It's a parallel lineage with its own destiny, distinct from the covenant line through Isaac.
Okay, so there's a distinction, but both are blessed. And God reaffirms the main covenant promise is with Isaac.
Right, and even gives a time frame. Isaac will be born about this time next year. It makes this incredible promise feel much more concrete.
And how does Abraham react to all this instruction, especially about the circumcision? Does he wait?
No, the text emphasizes his immediate compliance. On the very same day, it says, Abraham follows God's command right away.
No hesitation.
None recorded. He circumcises Ishmael, who was 13 then, and every other male in his household born there or purchased. Everyone.
Wow. Including himself, right, at 99.
Exactly. Abraham at 99, Ishmael at 13. It underlines the immediacy and the total commitment of the whole household to this covenant sign.
Okay, so let's pull back a bit. Key takeaways from this deep dive.
Well, obviously the renaming of Abram and Sarai signifying their new destinies. Then the establishment of this huge everlasting covenant. Countless descendants, the promise of the land.
And the physical sign circumcision marking everyone in the household.
Right. And critically, that distinction God makes about the covenant line passing through Isaac, while still giving a significant separate blessing to Ishmael.
It really makes you think about identity, doesn't it? How names shape destiny, the nature of these huge divine promises, and the kind of faith required.
And Abraham's immediate action, that underscores just how seriously he took this, the weight of this new relationship.
Definitely. And maybe a final thought for you to consider. Think about the lasting impact, this covenant, this physical sign, echoing through generations and cultures. What does it truly mean for individuals and communities to have their identity marked in such a profound physical way?
Yeah, that's something powerful to reflect on. How history and identity get written onto the body itself.